Imagine walking through a museum late in the afternoon. The crowds have gone home. The room is quiet. You stop in front of a single ancient skeleton, 40,000 years old. A small plaque beneath it reads, "She changed history simply by surviving. Not because she was a queen, not because she discovered fire, not because she built an empire. She survived." And suddenly, one question appears. How impossible can one human actually become? Not a superhero, not a mythical creature. A real human, someone made of flesh, blood, bones, and an unbelievably unlikely chain of events. Today, we're going to build that person. Not all at once, layer by layer. By the end, we won't just discover someone who shouldn't exist. We might discover something about ourselves. Every human story begins with the same question. Where are you from? Most of us answer with a country, maybe a city, maybe a family name. But long before countries existed, there were only tribes, small groups moving across forests, grasslands, mountains, following food, following seasons, following hope. Some of those groups became millions of people. Others slowly disappeared, until only a handful remained. So where should our impossible human begin? Not in the world's largest population, at the opposite end. Imagine a community so small, everyone knows everyone. Children recognize every face, every birth matters, every death changes the future. If only a few hundred people belong to your entire community, then simply being born there is already extraordinarily unlikely. Our impossible human has taken her very first step. Not because she looks different, not because she can do something extraordinary, but because history almost erased the place she came from. 40,000 years ago, communities like this lived on the edge of the known world. Every winter threatened to be their last. Every migration could erase an entire people forever. And somehow, her story begins there. Our impossible human now exists against astonishing odds, but this is only the first layer, because where you come from is only the beginning of who you are. The next question is far stranger. What would she actually look like? If you met our impossible human today, you probably wouldn't notice anything unusual at first. She smiles, she laughs, she looks back at you. But then, the sunlight catches her face. Her hair is almost silver, her skin is pale, her eyelashes seem to disappear into the light. Our impossible human has albinism. Albinism happens when the body produces little or no melanin, the natural pigment that gives our skin, hair, and eyes their color. It's extraordinarily rare. Imagine every seat in a packed football stadium filled with people. Now imagine only 4 or 5 of them were born with albinism. Worldwide, that's roughly 1 person in every 20,000. But remember, our impossible human had already begun in one of the world's rarest ancestral communities. Now those odds multiply. The person we're building is no longer merely uncommon, she's becoming statistically extraordinary. Yet something fascinating happens when we step back 40,000 years, in an ancient world without mirrors, without photographs, without cities. Someone with bright white hair would have stood out from the moment they were born. Every child would recognize her. Every traveler would remember seeing her. She would have been impossible to mistake for anyone else. But appearance is only the surface, because the strangest thing about our impossible human isn't the color of her hair. It's hidden inside her eyes. Most of us have 2 eyes that match perfectly: brown, blue, green. But nature doesn't always follow symmetry. Sometimes, before a child is even born, tiny differences appear while the eye is still forming. The result is called sectoral heterochromia. Instead of one eye being a completely different color, only a single section changes. Imagine looking into someone's eye and seeing a small amber flame inside an ocean of blue, or a crescent of green breaking through deep brown. It looks almost painted by hand. This condition is extraordinarily uncommon. Around 1 person in 100,000 is born with it. Now imagine combining that with everything we've already built. A woman from one of humanity's rarest ancestral groups, with brilliant white hair and an eye unlike almost anyone else on Earth. If you passed her in a forest 40,000 years ago, you probably wouldn't forget her. Not after a day, not after a lifetime. And we're only getting started, because the next layer won't change how she looks. It will change something every human depends on, every single day: pain. So far, we've changed where our impossible human came from. We've changed how she looks. We've even begun changing how her body experiences the world. But now comes a completely different question. What if she didn't see the same world we do? Most of us experience color in roughly the same way: a blue sky, green leaves, a red sunset. Our eyes use 3 different kinds of color-sensitive cells to build the picture we call reality. But for a tiny number of people, reality may be far richer. This ability is called tetrachromacy. Imagine walking into a field of wildflowers with a friend. To them, it's beautiful. To our impossible human, it could be an entirely different universe, where we might see 1 shade of green. She may see dozens, colors blending into other colors that most of us can never experience, because our brains simply don't receive that information. Researchers believe functional tetrachromacy is extraordinarily uncommon. Roughly 1 person in every 80,000 may possess it. Imagine filling a large sports stadium. Then imagine only a single spectator seeing colors that everyone else around them cannot. Now add that to everything we've already built. A woman from one of humanity's rarest ancestral communities. White hair, an unforgettable eye, a body unlike almost anyone else's, and now, a view of the world that almost nobody else can share. 40,000 years ago, there were no paintings, no cameras, no words to describe millions of subtle colors. How would you explain a sunrise if nobody else could see what you saw? Would people believe you? Or would they think you were describing magic? Maybe the greatest gift would also become the loneliest one. And somehow, our impossible human is becoming even more extraordinary, because seeing the world differently isn't nearly as remarkable as remembering every moment you've ever lived. That changes everything. We've changed where our impossible human came from. We've changed how she looked. We've changed how she experienced the world. Now, let's change something even more extraordinary. What if she could never truly forget? Think about your childhood. There are moments you remember perfectly. A birthday, your first day at school, a holiday. But most ordinary days have disappeared. They're gone. Not because they weren't important, but because that's simply how memory works. Our brains keep the highlights and quietly let the rest fade away. But for a tiny number of people, that never happens. This condition is called hyperthymesia. Instead of remembering only life's biggest moments, they can recall ordinary days from years ago with astonishing clarity. The weather, a conversation, the clothes they wore, even what happened on an otherwise forgettable Tuesday. Researchers have confirmed only a very small number of cases worldwide. Even generous estimates suggest it may affect only a few hundred people on Earth. Imagine every person in one of the world's largest cities. Now imagine only 1 or 2 people carrying a memory like this. When we add that to everything we've already built, our impossible human moves even further beyond imagination. She doesn't just see the world differently, she carries every day of her life with her. Now imagine living with that gift. 40,000 years ago, every migration remembered, Every hunt, every campfire, every face, every loss, every lesson passed from one generation to the next with astonishing detail. In a world without writing, without books, without photographs, she could become something far more valuable than a storyteller. She could become a living library, a single person carrying decades of experience inside her mind. But memory alone doesn't decide whether humanity survives, because the next layer isn't about what flows through her thoughts, it's about what flows through her veins. We've changed our impossible human's origin. We've changed her appearance. We've changed the way she sees the world. We've changed the way she remembers it. Now, let's look beneath the skin. What if the rarest thing about her couldn't be seen at all? Every one of us carries blood. It rushes through our bodies every second of every day. Most of us never think about it until someone needs a transfusion. That's when something invisible suddenly matters. Your blood type. Most people belong to familiar groups. A, B, AB, O, but hidden far beyond those familiar labels is something so uncommon that doctors gave it a nickname: golden blood. Its scientific name is Rh null. Unlike almost everyone else on Earth, people with Rh null blood lack every known Rh antigen on their red blood cells. That makes it extraordinarily valuable for certain rare transfusions, and extraordinarily difficult to replace if they ever need blood themselves. Imagine every seat in a city-sized stadium filled with people. Then imagine every stadium emptying until only a tiny handful remain. Across the entire world, fewer than 100 people are known to carry Rh null blood. Now picture our impossible human. She comes from one of humanity's rarest ancestral communities. Her appearance is unforgettable. Her eyes are unlike almost anyone else's. She experiences color differently. She remembers life with astonishing detail. And now, flowing through her veins is one of the rarest blood types ever discovered. 40,000 years ago, nobody could have tested blood. Nobody knew blood groups existed. Yet if she suffered a serious injury, or another member of her small community needed help, the extraordinary biology inside her would remain a complete mystery. Some of the rarest things in nature don't announce themselves. They stay hidden, waiting thousands of years for science to discover them. Our impossible human now seems almost beyond belief. Yet, there is one final layer we've never measured. Not her body, not her mind, not even her blood. Something far older, something that connects her to every person watching this video. And that changes everything. We've spent this entire journey building someone who seems almost impossible. A woman from one of humanity's rarest ancestral communities. A face unlike almost anyone else's. Eyes that catch the light in a way few ever will. A body that experiences the world differently. A mind that remembers with astonishing clarity. Blood so uncommon that modern medicine gave it a name. Layer by layer, our impossible human became more extraordinary. And with every new layer, the odds grew smaller. Until eventually, they became almost impossible to imagine. If you tried to write that probability as a single number, it would stretch far beyond what most of us can picture. So let's imagine it another way. Picture every star you could ever see in the night sky. Now imagine every star in our galaxy, then every galaxy across the observable universe. Even those numbers begin to feel small. Or picture every grain of sand on every beach, every desert, every coastline on Earth. Now imagine counting them, one by one. Human beings struggle to understand numbers this large because our brains were never built for them. We evolved to count family members, campfires, footprints, not impossibilities. And that's when I realized something. We never actually built this woman to prove that someone like her exists. We built her to ask a different question. What makes a human extraordinary? At first, we thought the answer was rare ancestry, then unusual appearance, then remarkable senses, then memory, then blood. But none of those layers, on their own, tell the whole story, because every human life is built the same way. Layer upon layer, choice upon choice, generation upon generation. The details are different, the journey is different, but no one arrives here by accident. 40,000 years ago, someone looked up at the same stars you can still see tonight. They had no idea who would come after them. They couldn't imagine cities, satellites, books, or the person now watching this video. Yet every generation carried something forward. Not perfection, not certainty, just life itself, and eventually, that story reached you. The experiment began with one impossible human. It ends with 8 billion different ones, so perhaps the rarest human isn't hiding in an ancient village or waiting to be discovered in a laboratory. Perhaps the rarest human is every person who has ever existed, because no one has ever existed in quite the same way before. If this journey changed the way you think about what it means to be human, let us know in the comments. And tell us one thing that makes your own story unique, because every extraordinary human story starts with an ordinary person, including yours.